President Trump calling out Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, ramping up the threats to send federal agents and National Guard troops to Chicago, saying this afternoon, we're going in.
Make your mind up on Chicago, though?
Well, we're going in. I didn't say when. We're going in.
Well, the president pointing to gun violence in the city over Labor Day weekend. 8 people were killed, more than 50 were injured. But Pritzker pushes back, and he calls any plans to send federal officers, quote, un-American, and saying that troops don't belong on the streets of American cities and that there is no emergency in Chicago. Joining me now with more is our ABC News senior policy reporter, Ann Flaherty. So first of all, Ann, we know there's a recent ruling as well from a judge in Los Angeles that found that Trump federalizing the troops in L.A. is unlawful. So how does that play into all of this now? Would that limit Trump's ability to go into other states with the National Guard?
Well, it certainly complicates it because clearly there will be other lawsuits that will be filed if President Trump makes good on his threat to send troops into other cities and into other states. And I think it's worth pointing out that the judge did give them an opportunity to appeal his decision. So a lot of this will likely remain in legal limbo, is my understanding of it. But it certainly does raise questions about if other judges in other areas with other jurisdictions agree with him. Is President Trump's power limited? And of course, you know, you do have laws that say you can't use military troops in states unless they're being for law enforcement, unless they're being called up by the governor. And in the case of a state like Illinois, where the governor has said we don't need them here, then he's very limited in how he could use those troops.
And as you mentioned there, it doesn't go really into effect till September 12th, so the administration can appeal that. And as Ann is talking here, on the other side of the screen, you can certainly see Governor Pritzker there. He is addressing the media, the mayor standing right behind him about this very issue. And Ann, as we continue to discuss this, we know that particularly the administration is preparing for a surge in immigration enforcement operations in Chicago, potentially as soon as this week. What do we know about those plans?
Well, you know, of course, the National Guard not talking about this. They're saying that they would, they can mobilize troops if the president requires it. But again, it would have to be either called up by the governor, in which case they could do some law enforcement operations. Otherwise, if they're called up by the president himself, the example is in D.C., they really are limited to just if they're called up by the president and sent into a state like California, they really are just limited to protecting federal personnel and federal property. So you really have to have the compliance and the agreement of that governor to do anything like what the president is talking about, which is helping to carry out immigration, helping to enforce immigration. I don't think that that's going to happen widespread nationwide without those governors' consent, unless, he gets the courts on board with this, which we were seeing this morning clearly is not the case.
Certainly not. And again, we are monitoring to see what Governor Pritzker says as well. Ann Flaherty, thank you for being here with us.